Good morning. It's Monday morning in Spanish Fork, Utah. Another beautiful day. We had a great weekend. We had our talk on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And we had another talk on Sunday night at 5:30, as well as the Krishna show at 1 o'clock on Sundays. And all the congregational members of the Utah Yatra, they get together on a Zoom call at 11 o'clock, and we have the kids chant some slokas. In this case, the adults commented on 111, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse. So weekends are a special feast of preaching if you're a Hare Krishna devotee in the middle of the coronavirus lockdown. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we gather here together online for Srimad Bhagavatam class, scripturally based class where we discuss in depth a particular verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful story of the Absolute Truth. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning, Jimmy, Teresa. Our verse today, if you want to follow on your phone, if you have the book, it's first canto, second chapter, fifth verse. Om Aganati Manandasyang Ganangana Salakya Chaksudun Miritam Yanatashmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yeda Bhutare Swayam Rupa Karamayam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Siguru Siyata Parakamaram Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Raganatim Bitam Stam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Larita Shri Vishikanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Pasraya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivashesa Sunyavadi Praskata Desaranine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Joining Thomas, Jimmy, and Taruni is Govinda Dev and Russell. Thank you for being with us this morning. Again, if you didn't hear it, we're in the first canto, second chapter, fifth verse. Munaya sadya prishtaham bhavadvir lokamangalam yat krita krishna sampashno ye atma shuprasidati. Translation: O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. And this is the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Welcome, Prajapati Sutta Das. Since it has been stated herein before that in the Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is to be known, the questions of the sages of Namashranya are proper and just, because they pertain to Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Personality of Godhead says that in all the Vedas there is nothing but the urge for searching after Him, Lord Krishna. Thus, the questions that pertain to Krishna are the sum and substance of all Vedic inquiries. The whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, beasts, and men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers, and in the evening, also the same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being, unless he is fast asleep at night, is busy with questions and answers. The businessmen in the market are busy with questions and answers. And so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the schools and colleges. The legislators in the parliament are also busy with questions and answers. And the politicians and the press representatives are all busy with questions and answers. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. Well, this is very telling, especially at this moment, in this day, in this age. Prabhupada says, although they go on making questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. So what are most people doing all over the world in the human form of life? Just like the birds and the bees, they get up and they have questions. So most people are asking, as soon as they get up, what's the first thing that's on their mind? What's the first question? And what is the first thing they do? They go right to Facebook, or they go right to CNN, or they go right to Fox. And they say, what's the status? What's the coronavirus update? Now, you figure it out yourself. Is that going to bring you peace, tranquility? You can do that kind of questioning and receiving the answers till the cows come home, ad infinitum. And not only is it not going to give you peace or satisfaction, but it's going to make you more agitated, more upset, more stressed out. And then our leader, our peerless leader, he comes every day to give us an update on the state of affairs. Now, has anyone ever become calm and peaceful or even reassured as a result of these daily press conferences? Prabhupada says here, the legislatures in the parliament are busy with questions and answers, and the politicians and the press representatives are busy with questions and answers. So, press man asks a question, and the head executive state of it says, "You're a lousy human being." That's how he answers the question, and you're fake news. And then it just seems to me, tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't get up in the morning and do this first thing, but you can't help but be aware of it. At some point later in the day, I will check the death toll, and because it has relevance as to when we might be able to reopen again. And there are preaching points contained therein as well. But tell me whether all this busyness, all this chatter, all this noise back and forth, Fox, CNN, MS, NBC, whether any of it is peaceful or reassuring, what to speak of conducive to liberation from the conditions of birth, death, disease, and old age. I think just the opposite, in my opinion. More and more entangling in the modes of particularly Tamagun and Rajagun. Very little, even if there were some Sattvagun, some mode of goodness in there, it might be a little bit redeeming. But unfortunately, I think we're pretty much mired in Tamagun and Rajagun. And that goes for our leaders as well. And the question you're answering is like constant, it's relentless, and yet all it does is depress us, burden us down, fill us full of anxiety and hypertension. So there has to be an alternative, because question and answering is vital. Even the birds and the beasts do it. It's not that we do away with question and answering, but what is that area, or what is that category of questioning and answering which will bring us peace, bring us satisfaction, and ultimately loosen the bonds, the gunas, the ropes that keep us bound to birth, death, disease, and old age in this material world. Krishna says, Trigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistrugunya Bhava, Nir Dhanvo Nityasat Visho, Nir Yoga Semavapanam. We need to become yogis, and we need to rise above the three modes of material nature, at least get into the mode of goodness, which is peaceful, vegetarianism, love, compassion, speaking only those things which are necessary, only those things which are true, and only those things which are uplifting. At least in the mode of goodness, if not higher. So the sages in Naimisharanya, as well as their guru, Sudageva Goswami, they were above the modes of material nature, above passion, ignorance, madness, anger, sectarianism, blaming, anxiety. Everything that we see in the world today was, all those negative qualities were absent in the sages of Naimisharanya, the recipients, and Sudha Goswami, the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So much so, in fact, that it is said here later on by Sukadeva Goswami, it's reported that when he heard these same sorts of questions originally from Maharaj Parikshit during the last 7 days of his life, Sukadeva Goswami was so happy. And aren't we happy? Aren't we similarly relieved to get together at 7:30 in the morning, just after the sun has made its appearance over the eastern horizon and is flooding the earth with light and hope and optimism and auspicity, this is not the time to go on Facebook and get the latest Corona updates. At least wait until later on in the afternoon when you've filled yourself up, you've filled your tank with positivity and hope and optimism and expectation for the future. So you can imagine, just as we're happy, and it's interesting too, here's another thing I was mulling over. As the materialists, with all of their question and answers, are getting more stressed out, more depressed, more divided. You go on Fox, you get the Democrats blamed. You go on CNN, you get the Republicans blamed. You go to Trump, he blames everybody. And all it does is just divide people, upset people, depress people. Now, during the same period of time when the world is becoming more divided, more confrontational, more pugnacious, during that same period of time, just look at the devotees. Look at all the kirtans that are going on Facebook Live in hundreds and hundreds of homes all over the world. Look at all the great devotees, the swamis, the sannyasis, the gurus, who are going online and sharing transcendental wisdom with people. You can hardly even go on Facebook or on any public forum where there are not like 3 or 4 different options for either kirtan or lectures, all of which have just the opposite effect of the questioning and answering that's going on, generally speaking. We feel, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Feel like we've some or other stumbled on an oasis in the middle of the desert. And it's actually stated that way. It says all the pleasure you get through patriotism, fidelity to your country, performing your duties and exercising your responsibilities to your families and your friends and your countries. It says that all the pleasure you get from all those areas of catering to the body and the extensions of the body in terms of family, friends, and country, the pleasure is a drop. It's like just a little drop. Now, if you're in the desert and it's hot, it's 100 degrees, it's dry, your humidity is being leached out of your body through every single pore, what is the use of a single drop of water? What is the use? You may get a drop, but you're still going to proceed towards dehydration, hyperthermalism, and ultimate death. So in the desert, you need an ocean of water, not just a drop. Topics about Krishna. Srinvatam Shra Kata Krishna, Punya Sravanam Kirtanam, Ridanchashtu Abadani, Vidunoti Saritsatam. Cleanses the heart, fills the heart with nectarine topics and pastimes about the eternal Lord. And whereas those other topics just burden us down, they dry us out, they dehydrate us, they deny us the nectar for which we're always anxious. Sukadeva Goswami thanked Maharaj Parikshit for his inquiries which related to the absolute truth by saying, Variyanesha te prashna kvita lokamitam admavitsamatahapam sroktabhyadishu yapara. My dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial, lokahita, to all kinds of people, not only the intellectuals, but the common people as well. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. Lord Krishna is none other than the original supreme person, the absolute truth, the controller over and above all other controllers, the cause of all causes, he who causes everything, but he himself is not caused. He's the Adi Purush, the original person. He existed before Shiva, Brahma, the sun, the moon, the stars. Their existence is dependent upon and emanating from him. And as the absolute truth, he, his name, form, pastimes, qualities, and paraphernalia are non-different from him. You get a totally different and opposite result by hearing about the glorious, heroic, virile, the word Vikrama is referred to the Lord, the original virile, the original hero, the original Superman, By hearing about him, you associate directly with the Lord, and you achieve freedom from being bound up by the conditions of birth, death, disease, and old age. Krishna promises it. He says, Janma karma me divyam, evam yo vyati tatparya, chakvadeham purnar janma, neti mam eti sarjana. What's the difference in effect between the questioning and answering between ordinary mundane people who have no clue about the soul, about karma, about reincarnation, about transcendence, about the Supreme Lord? What's the difference between their back and forth and the back and forth of the devotees? The back and the forth of the devotees gives them liberation to such an effect that once leaving this body, one never again returns to another embodiment in this material world, but goes back to home, back to God, where life is eternal, full of bliss, and full of knowledge. That is a result. On the other hand, those who are feverish, those who can't wait to get the latest coronavirus update, those who can't wait for the executive head to come on the air every night and spew his inanities and cheer him on, they are mad and feverish after the things of this body. And according to Rishabdev, nonam pramataha, pramata means madness, kurute vikrama, they're mad after prohibited things. They're mad after things which are going to simply bind them tighter, reduce and limit their options in this material world. Nonam pramata kurute vikrama, yad indriya prita prinoti. They're simply after sense gratification, the things of this body. Nonam pramata kurutebra yadindra pritami nasaro maneyatro. They don't care. They don't care to hear from the sadhus. They don't care to hear about Krishna. And therefore they have no chance of getting out of the cycle of birth and death. Their consciousness is polluted by this feverish acquisition, this feverish lust for more and more pickups and more guns and more meat on the table, and a good Budweiser and a Coors, and it goes on and 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 on. It is simply the path downward, gliding to hell. Tam aham disata samsarasu nararamaham sipam yajasham asurishu eva yonishu. Yoni means wombs. Such people who are totally engrossed in and sold out to, and who know nothing other than, and who are mad after the sensual things of this world, it is said that they glide down into the wombs of those in the lower species of life. On the other hand, Janma karma me divyam. The activities of Krishna are not at all on the same level or in the same category as those of ordinary movie stars or so-called heroes in this material world. They are liberating, they are uplifting, they are refreshing, they're a totally different thing altogether. Nama Chintamani Krishna. The name of Krishna acts like touchstone. Touchstone, when it touches something base and gross, it elevates it. And again, I'm not condemning any type of person in this talk, because to be honest, we were like that before we got the benediction, the treasure house, the blessing of the chanting of the holy names, and the stories and pastimes of Krishna from our spiritual master. So we know that from Sukadeva Goswami himself, and from the story of Prabhupada's success in the Western world, that anybody, no matter how engrossed they are in sensualism, is corrigible up to the standard of perfection on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why? Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasha Vigraha. You get the full taste, the full dosage, the full potency of the spiritual world through the topics, the questionings and answers about Krishna. Purna Shuddha, it is full, completely satisfying, unlike any mundane topics which have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Sudha, totally pure, not tainted, not divisive, doesn't incite hate for any living being. One who's a devotee, nirvara sarvabhutishu, yasamamiti pan. Krishna says those who are my devotees are known. Their symptom is they have no enemies. They have no quarrel or gripe. They don't go around throwing insults and labeling people. But they're friendly towards all living entities. This is Sudha, Nitya Mukta, and eternally Vinadban Nami Namina. And the foundational principle is that being absolute, the name of the Lord is not different from the Lord himself. And you associate with the Lord through questioning and answering and honoring the Lord by chanting his holy names. You become totally non-acquisitive and non-envious. You are apart and separate from all that goes on in the material world. It is said also just in this section of the Bhagavatam, Yat Padasam Siyasuta, Muni Aprashaya, Sadhyopanadya Pashuta, Shraddhanapana. In India, people bathe daily in the Ganges, and that's considered gradually throughout a whole lifetime of relieving them from their karma or their sinful reactions. But it says just hearing for a short time from a self-realized soul about the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna has the same result almost immediately, almost instantaneously. What is achieved only prolongedly through many, many years is achieved almost instantaneously by hearing from a spiritual master. Sukadeva Goswami goes on here, Sotya Vyadini Rajanam, Ninam Santi Sahasratam, Apasyatam Atpatatam, Griyashu Grisha Medinam. Ninam Santi, that peace, that rest, that liberation from stress and anxiety, and ultimately from birth, death, disease, and old age, eludes those people who are materially engrossed. Being blind, apasyatam atmasatvam, the truth of the soul coming from God, being subordinate to God, being part and parcel of God, finding its deep meaning and purpose through service of God, that truth completely eludes them. They haven't got an inkling, a clue. And so in lieu of that uplifting give and take, it is said such people who are materially engrossed and blind to the absolute truth have many subject matters for hearing in human society, O Emperor. Undeniable, indisputable truth. Vyavishatmaka ek bahushakaya nantascha. Their consciousness is smashed to smithereens. Their consciousness is many-branched. Rather than being focused and pinpointed towards the lotus feet of the Lord, who only can give liberation, their consciousness is all over the map, just like a mirror that's been dropped from 20 feet up and hit with great force and velocity, and the pieces are everywhere, all over the room. So the words here are Griyashu Griha Medinam. Griha means household, one who maintains wife and children. So it can go both ways. What are referred to here, materially engrossed people blind to the absolute truth, are Griha Medis. Prabhupada says Griha Medis, meaning those who are envious, live only for the benefit of the family members, extended or centralized, and thus are envious of others. Now, to take care of your family is important. It's a virtue. But to focus exclusively on your family and not consider other living beings with whom you share the planet, and not consider other living beings who have the same source as you, other living beings who are your sisters and brothers in a spiritual sense, to limit your focus and attention on your family. I mean, the baboons do the same thing. The cats and dogs do the same thing. It's not a particularly great virtue to be just for your family. We're all in this together. When Al Capone was finally captured and sent to prison, his excuse was, this is what I get for trying to help out a few friends and family members. So many crimes, so many abominations, even amongst the demons, even amongst the grossly absorbed materialists, have been rationalized in the name of friends and family. That does not exempt you from being categorized as a jealous, envious householder, simply because you've taken your own personal, self-centered bodily concern and extended it through your children and your family and your countries. Whether it's centralized or extended, it is still selfishness, and it is still censorable by the Supreme Personality of God. So one must learn to make the transition from being a grihamedi, an envious, materially engrossed householder, to being a grihastra. A grihastra is one who is awake to the possibilities of the Spirit and the offer of liberation that the Lord has extended to us. Now at this point, I've been working on a little poem. I may stumble a little bit, or hem and haw a little bit, or even achieve a blank space where I'm reaching for a word, but it is appropriate to share with you. It's called 5 Minutes After I Die. Are you ready for me to muddle through this? Okay. Loved ones will look upon my silent face, grasp me in silent embrace. Darkness and shadows will fill the place 5 minutes after I die. Loving faces I will no longer see. Murmuring voices will no longer reach me. But where, oh, where will my spirit be 5 minutes after I die? The days of my life have flown, pursuing the illusion of hearth and home. Self-realization got postponed. I will have to reap from the seed that I have sown 5 minutes after I die. Too late to regain the good I lack, discarded along my chosen life's path. My soul its karma cannot unpack. Too late to redo, no turning back 5 minutes after I die. Often I stifled, conviction stirred. I silenced the soft voice often heard. Thoughts of rebirth were deferred. Explaining myself is going to sound absurd 5 minutes after I die. Though my senses were strong and I followed the throng, eternity seems awfully long. What if I realize I was wrong 5 minutes after I die? Truly a fool, cooing and wooing, pursuing illusion within death's view, doing deeds that I can never undo, strong-armed into the wrong queue 5 minutes after I die. If I have frittered away fortune's day and tasted poisoned clay and wasted liberation's day, just as my sentence, my soul will say. Our eternal state is to serve the great Lord, destroying our karma with the sword of his holy names. Stake your claims, don't dare to wait. Chant the holy names before it's too late 5 minutes after I die. That was my poetic effort to get the same point across. Here it is said, Satam Prashangam Mamavirya Sambido Bhavanti Rikarna Rishayano Kata Tajjoshana Rapsu Apavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishyati. Satam Prashangam means the association of devotees, and that's what we're doing here. And there's so much of that going on during this time of lockdown. It's so gratifying. You see how everything becomes polarized. Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati adbhutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sijamayaham. When Krishna comes, the world is overburdened by the questioning and answerings of ignorant people who are engrossed in materialism. But there are also, as you have this extreme, you almost inevitably have the other extreme of the pious, nonviolent, peaceful, loving, compassionate, with their senses under control, devotees. And so as the one pole gets more extreme, more insensitive, more cruel, less compassion, then the Lord feels that he has to descend and intervene on behalf of those who are getting more compassionate, more spiritually enlivened, more interested and eager to get out of this material world. The association here is awful. You'll have to agree. In general, 99.9%, the association is awful. In the prison house, the reason that you don't just want to improve your situation in the prison, the reason you want to get out of the prison altogether is association. The association in the prison is bad, negative, drag you down. So any intelligent person would like to get out, escape the prison, knowing that the association of the honest citizens outside the prison house is going to be so much healthier, wholesome, and better for them. So it is said in this verse, in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he or she is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. Tajjoshad Ashu Abavarga, in that forum of questions and answers, centralizing around the appearance and divine activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Apavarga Vartmani, the path of liberation, the door to liberation is thrown open, and the participants, Shraddha, Raktir, Bhaktir, one after another, sequentially, faith, taste, and ultimate loving devotional service proceed one after another. And what is the alternative to hearing about the transcendental, enlivening, pleasing pastimes of the Lord in the association of devotees? What is the alternative? It's not very good, according to Shukadeva Goswami. It says, if you do not use your tongue, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, to glorify the Lord, and if you do not use your ears, Punanti te Bhagavatam Admadasaram, if you do not fill your ears with the transcendental nectarine topics of the Lord, then this is how your tongue and your ears are described by the great transcendentalist Sukadeva Goswami. Bile bhatar vikramanye nashinviti karna puta narasya jivasati durudaiva suta nachupagayati urugayataha. Sukadeva Goswami, the great authority on love of God, the liberated soul whose bodily complexion was similar to that of Lord Sri Krishna himself, the son of the compiler of the Vedic literatures, describes the materially engrossed people, their ear holes and their tongues, in the following way. And it's not a very happy conclusion that he makes. One who has not listened to the messages about the Vikram, the prowess and marvelous acts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and has not sung or loudly chanted the worthy songs about the Lord, is to be considered to possess ear holes like that of snakes, karna puta narasya, and a tongue like that of the frog, na jivasiti dardudakevashuta. We have a 200,000 gallon lake here on the property. We were required to install it by the fire department. Bobby and I rented a big bulldozer from United Rentals, and we learned how to use it. So we had a few fun days there, scooping out earth with this huge bulldozer. So around that pond, naturally, have come frogs over the course of the years. And on a summer's evening, there's a concert going on. Ba-boop, 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 here and there and everywhere. Some of them are more treble, some of them are more bass. And the frogs are, to them, it's a beautiful concert. It's a beautiful symphony of noise. However, the effect or the result of this cacophony is that the snakes we have on the property, and there are some, they identify the whereabouts of the frog by the audible croaking, and they come to kill him. So all the hearing and chanting, the questioning and answering of the materialists, the end result of which is Krishna, or God, gave you this life. He gave you this human form. Its purpose is to honor and glorify him. That's the only way you'll get liberation, and the only way you'll find meaning and satisfaction. It's the only way you'll stop all this bickering and fighting and party and sectarian spirit. But if you don't use that for the purpose for which it is given you and created, you do not deserve another day of life. You do not deserve to get up tomorrow morning because you have so misused the incredible assets that God has gifted you with. And yet you probably will get up tomorrow, and you probably will get up the day after, and you probably will get up the day after because of the mercy of God, because of his grace, that even though you're not doing the right thing, even though you're doing the wrong thing, even though you're vikram, you're akarma, acting against or without respect to the guidelines and the universal laws which the Lord has established for our well-being, he still gives you grace. He still hopes that tomorrow you'll get with the program, or the next day you'll get with the program, or the next day we'll get you the program. But in spite of the mercy of the Lord, which allows us to get up day after day after day after day and ignore him and transgress his commandments, there will come to each and every one of us the final day that we do not get up. And that is the day that death has identified us, death has approached us, death, like a blacksmith who very easily takes a mouse in its jaws, we get swallowed by death. And the difference is between those who are materially engrossed, questioning and answering over the indulgence of the senses in this material world, and those who have utilized the valuable human form of life for Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, is that the ones will find themselves cast down. Tvam aham drisataham koram samsara shu nararamam. And the others will be elevated, lifted as on the wings of angels. So we'll conclude right now with these statements by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father, or son, or object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. All things but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So if we are to have complete satisfaction, we must take to question and answers about Krishna. We cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna, we can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. One should learn the Srimad Bhagavatam and make an all-round solution to all the problems pertaining to social, political, or religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. I've got Victoria Moreland, Preeti B, visible on the screen here. We'd like to thank all of you who have joined us throughout this last 45 minutes or so. And with all of our heart, encourage you during this time of lockdown, this time of uncertainty, to go to where the devotees are, to go to where the kirtans are being chanted and sung, to go to where the talks and the lectures and the honoring of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through philosophy and reasoning and arguments and question and answers. It's a very, very polarizing time, and you have the choice to go on this side or that side. Our encouragement is go to where those purified souls are hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. And just as there are more than ever before opportunities to get your conscience polluted and tainted and to become filled with hate and suspicion and mistrust, there are also more than ever before now during this lockdown opportunities to go online and hear the beautiful kirtans from hundreds and hundreds of devotees on every continent and every country of the world, and the wonderful talks and lectures and readings and stories. Please take full advantage of the transcendental opportunities that are available. And I personally will hope to see you tomorrow morning again at 7:30 a.m. for another in the series of talks on the great story of the absolute truth, Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.